Everybody just go on and have a barbecue, cookout, whatever you want to call it. Have one, pig roast, whatever you like, and don't care. Just go on and have it, and everybody have a good time. Last week we had a lot of technical difficulties, so I thought I'd go over what we talked about last week a little bit. We was talking about what is greatness. You know, we wanted to talk about greatness and how that relates to chivalry in a sense. So we're going to start the show with a little bit of what is greatness. Greatness, as I see it, begins with chivalry. Sincerity, empathy, courage, and a large amount of self-worth. Self-worth, that's the quiet consciousness of your personal thoughts about who you are. You know, and I say quiet consciousness because most of the times you don't think about what your self-worth is, you know, until you're challenged and stuff, and then you say, well, I'm better than that. Why are you challenging me? Some people use the word respect in that. And that's okay. It's yours. It's your quiet consciousness. And that's who you want to be. Most of self-worth is made up, like greatness, in who you want to be, who you see yourself as. Not so much what other people see you as, but who you see yourself as. And that's the ground and the foundation for greatness and for self-worth. Here's a little something about self-worth. You should never let anyone tell you what your self-worth is. You alone control the measure, and you have the real power to become great because of your own beliefs in yourself. That is what it is, your self-worth. So that's a little bit of what we talked about last time on greatness. We got some more to go over. And now we're going to talk about what greatness is. Greatness is personal. You know, there's no two people have the same measure of what they consider to be greatness. Greatness is whatever you call it. Muhammad Ali, he called it right out front. I'm the greatest. You know, he beat the bear. You know, he said, you know, he knew he was the greatest before he was the greatest. I mean, that's what greatness is. It's a personal construct within yourself. And no two people on the whole planet have the same measure of greatness. For some, it's a large amount of money makes them great. You know, they say, well, if I only can make it in life and have $1 million, then I'll be great. I'll be satisfied. You know, my self-worth will be taken care of. So they think it's money. Some it's great love. Some people might say, you know, if I only could make it with that young lady over there, she's so beautiful. Or she might say, look at the pecs on that guy or the shoulders on that guy. I would really like him to father my children. You know? And for them, that would be greatness, you know. It's some aspect of love. And for others, it's just power. Like, I believe Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. For them, greatness is power. Power for them is the presidency of the United States. So as long as they're still in the race, running for the presidency, they're achieving their greatness in their own mind. Because like I said, it's their self-worth. Actually, the main part of how we become a chivalrous individual. Let's us treat others in a respectful way so that we're treated in a respectful way. We want to treat others as though it's a privilege so that we feel that privilege and we go back and we make the it feel good about itself because these really unconscious type of feelings that we have. So that's the aspiration. Behavior which falls short of the ideal self can be punished by the superego's thoughts of guilt. This is the superego's main weapon. You know, it makes you feel guilty. When people start feeling guilty, they start feeling depressed. They start having low self-esteem. Their self-worth goes down. All these things start to manifest themselves. The next thing you know, your physical appearance starts to falter. You start having high blood pressure. You start having all kinds of different things that come about simply because instead of adhering to the rules that the superego was trying to tell you about, you went with the against the ego's knowledge of what we should do and right into the childish actions of the id. I'm doing it anyway because that's what I want to do and that's what I want to have. So that's pretty rough. The superego can also reward us through the ideal self when we behave properly by making us feel proud. Even though I believe that pride is a hubris that brings about self-indulgences, if you feel proud about yourself, that's that aspiration that you feel about yourself. That's the one you admire. I feel good about me. That type of pride is good. You know, that type of pride is never bad. You feel good about yourself, you become your own hero. That's going to fulfill that greatness that you have in yourself. So, and that all comes about through a reward system of the super ego by doing those things which are good. You know, the ideal self and conscious are largely determined in childhood from your parental values on you, how you were brought up. This is where they all come about. Those two systems, they're all brought together when you're a kid and you're raised by your parents and others. Then they instill good values into you, a good moral fiber. Your moral compass is straight and right on point. So with that said, I mean, those are just a little things I think that might help some people in looking at being a chivalrous person. By being a chivalrous person, you don't have to think about, you know, oh man, is somebody going to think I'm lame, or is somebody going to think I'm kind of wimpy because I always do nice things for people and stuff like that. Doesn't have anything to do with those type of thoughts like that. The only thing that being a chivalrous person is going to really be able to do is make you feel as though you're the person that you always wanted to be. It's going to give you those tools that you need to become you, because you start to develop and build you. Right after you leave the womb, you start to become you. Whatever you want to be, it starts then. The real id type of things that you really can't control or change. The ego type of things that are always going to be there to give you some tempting to make you say, I want to follow that id, I want to do this. And the super ego that's going to say, if you do this, you're going to not like yourself. You're not going to feel good about you. The reward for you doing those things that you know not that you shouldn't do is guilt. The rewards for doing those things that make you feel good about yourself and you know that you should have done because they're the right thing to do, you feel pride and you feel good about yourself. So with that, I gotta let's leave on out of here, and I think I throw a little Billie Holiday in there for you because I always like leaving out with a little Billie Holiday. Thanks for listening, and tune in again for Archangel, A Return to Chivalry. All right, on Wednesday from 3 to 4. I'm out. All right. Joe with Archangel, A Return to Chivalry. We played a little Duke of Earl because he sings about greatness and chivalry and just Duke type things, I guess. So that's how we do. But first I want to have not a moment of silence and everything, but I think that I just want to say I hope that the people over there in Turkey are weathering this terrorist attack, and they'll bounce back from that, because that's a horrific thing that's needs to be addressed. And here in the United States, I hope that that doesn't fuel any kind of madness, is what I like to call it. That's, you know, between the races, between the cultures, between the religions, between anybody. I mean, it's summertime. Let's have some fun outside. Let's go swimming. Let's have some barbecues or whatever we want to do. You know, we'll find some real good ways how to cook things on the grill, and everybody will have a good time. We'll drink some beers and we'll toast life. And this will be a good thing, and everybody will compliment everybody, and that'll be good. We won't be having a whole lot of nonsense going on with terrorist attacks here on the United States. As long as they're still in the race, running for the presidency, they're achieving their greatness in their own mind. Because like I said, it's their self-worth. Nobody going to tell those two what their self-worth is about. So they're a prime example of what self-worth is and what greatness is. But there are a lot of other people, and it's growing in number, that it may be the feelings and recognition of having the privilege to make others feel special. These are the people that really achieve, in my view, that really achieve greatness. They're the people who can say, it's a privilege, I feel, for doing something for somebody else. Maybe holding a door. You know, who knows what that something's going to be. Might be something really profound. We don't know. You know, giving somebody a ride to California when you were actually going to Maine. You know, that'd be special. And that would be a real privilege, too. Be a little extravagant, but that's okay. But that's what the privilege is. It's a privilege to make others feel special. And you don't get any greater than that. You know, there's no other feeling in the world, because that's all about you. Even the person you made feel special, they can't feel the privilege and the specialness that you feel just by that ability you had to do something for somebody else. So and that's a growing in number. There's a lot more people out there now than there used to be that are doing this type of thing. So greatness is a privilege. And that privilege grows because of chivalry. To be a chivalrous individual, you always have the opportunity to make somebody else feel special. So that's a good thing. That's why chivalry is so important in this world. We have to bring back a chivalry to this planet. And the small little chivalrous things that we all have been aware of now that we do every day are the special things that make this come about. Let's see what else we got on this little book. Yeah. So this is greatness according to religious beliefs. And this is from the Mormon, this is what I heard anyways. I was at the Mormon church on Sunday a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about true greatness comes from the thousands of little deeds and tasks of services and sacrifices that constitute the giving or losing of one's life for another and for the Lord. So in the religious text, it's a little bit more challenging and asks a little bit more than just your everyday walk of life type of thing. You know, you don't have to die in everyday walk of life. But, you know, true greatness is a measure by just being willing to give up your life for somebody else. That takes a lot of our greatness. You know, but that's the religious text, and I know everybody has a great feeling for God, but I'm sure God doesn't want everybody just be out there opening the door for somebody and then getting hit by a car, you know. I mean, he don't play that. So that's a little religious thing there. Now we're sticking with the world. The world view we call greatness extraordinary. This is how the secular world sees greatness. That's an extraordinary individual. That's a remarkable individual. That's an extraordinary thing that person done. I could do that, and then I too will be remarkable. So we mostly view it as those things And those come from history. Now, wow, those people back then, they were remarkable, those frontiersmen or whatever. These people who had to escape from slavery, that was an extraordinary feat that they had to go through and stuff. And it was. Without a doubt, those are true measures of greatness in their time. We don't have to do that today. Like I said, chivalry doesn't ask that much of you. Chivalry just asks for the little things that give real life happinesses. That privilege of being able to make somebody feel special. That's all we're really asking for at this point in time, you know? Unless you're in a religious set, then you might have to give it all the way up. But that's okay too. So like I said, in the world, real world, you don't have to be extraordinary today. It's nice if you want to be extraordinary, but that's all on you, because that's a measure of your self-worth. If you feel extraordinary and you feel great, then you are extraordinary and you are great. There's no one that can tell you that you're not, because you measure the degree what makes you great, you know? So that's a true statement in today's world. But the real happiness comes from the privilege of doing something special for somebody else. So we don't become great in the eyes of others or the world's idea of greatness, but we receive a better feeling of satisfaction, completion, because it belongs only to you. That completion, that, you know, that view belongs to you. When I reach the level of greatness in what I want to be perceived at, only I can feel that feeling. It doesn't matter if someone else tells me that, oh, you're a real great individual, you're a real good individual, you're a remarkable individual. It makes absolutely no difference. It doesn't matter if you win a Pulitzer Prize and someone says, oh, what a real articulate person with words, because he won a Pulitzer or something, or you won the Nobel Prize, and what a great minded, sharp person that is. It doesn't make any difference, because the actual feeling of completion and satisfaction is yours. It's when you feel that, that's when you know that you're somebody, you know? Like I said, it's all in you, it's all self-worth, and it's all that. So you feel the greatness of being a person, someone who you can admire. That's what it is. You admire yourself. I know it sounds a little self-serving, sounds a I can't think of that word, but
conceited.
Huh?
Conceited.
Yeah, sounds a little conceited, but it's really not conceited in that sense. You know, it's like, yeah, I did good. I like that. You know, you're sitting at home, you're getting ready to watch your favorite Simpson or whatever show you turn on. I don't know what it's going to be. You know, so, and then you're just thinking about today, you know, I really feel good because, you know, I picked that person up out the gutter and stuff like that. It fell down and all I saw was a real person that was lying in the gutter, and I didn't walk by him, you know. And that gutter doesn't have to be a physical gutter. That gutter can be a gutter that, and this is hard too, it could be a gutter that's just a mindful gutter. You see somebody who's hurting or needs a little bit of a hug or a love or something like that, and you just give that person that type of thing like that. That's powerful. And it's hard. I fall short on that measure myself, you know. So yeah, I'm human, folks. I'm human. I'm Trooper Joe, and I'm human. And sometimes I'm not, but I try to be human all the time. I fall short of my own expectation, my own measure. I fall short of that quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, that's how you feel greatness, by being a person. Someone who you, and only you, can admire. Someone that you can look up to. Someone that you feel has the abilities to do a lot of things, to achieve the things which you daydream, because that person you always wanted to be is you. You know, there's a lot of people who never really come to realize who it is they want to be. They have these dreams and they have these visions tucked away in their mind closets underneath all these boxes of other kind of things that just go on top of it, depressions and anxieties and victimizations and all kinds of things like that. So these things get in the way of you actually being that person that you admire, because you can't be the great person that you want to be. It's too much clutter. You know, the daydream's still there. You know, there might be people daydream all the time. They want to be Captain America or something. I don't know. Can you be Captain America? I don't know. You can put on a shirt and make a shield. And who's to say you're not Captain America? I don't know. It depends upon your degree of Captain America. But again, even if you're not wearing those little spendy costumes and stuff like that, but you feel is in your heart that the privilege that you're doing to make someone else feel special supersedes all the other things in the world, then you are that captain or whatever you want to be. You're that person that you admire in your daydreams. You know, you become the special. You become the person. But that feeling begins with chivalry. I mean, this is always coming back to chivalry, because that's what we talk about. Yeah. So that feeling begins with chivalry, and that chivalry is doing something for somebody else. And it only grows bigger and bigger with each small, kind, unrewarding things you do for others. The more little things you do for people, the bigger and bigger that you see yourself, and the more you admire yourself, and the stronger your self-worth becomes, and the greater you are. See, this is all how it builds up like that, all from small little, might be a smile to a person as you're walking in the rain, you know? You don't have to take off your coat and give it to them, or you give them an umbrella. You don't have to cross the street and have empathy and say, oh man, that poor person doesn't have an umbrella and they're getting so wet, and I got an umbrella, but I'm not even going to, you know, you don't have to just, I better cross the street so I'm not tempted to do something like give them my umbrella, and then I'll get wet. You don't have to do that. But it's those small things that you might do. When you're walking by the person and you just give them a smile, just acknowledge them there. Yeah, I see you, but you're not getting my umbrella, but that's quite all right. The person really doesn't want to take your umbrella from you in the first place, but the smile is going to be the umbrella that's going to give that person the waterproofing they need to get to where they're going. Would just be that smile. And it's like, oh, you know, you just treated them like a person. And it's all those small things that come together that makes you that person that you admire, that makes you that person whose self-worth is grown, who makes you that person who is great within your own eyes, and that's good. So true greatness is never a result of chance. You can't be great just by chance, or one-time effect or achievement. It's an accumulation of many different things that make that greatness. You know, so greatness requires a character development. You know, and character is just the sum total of who you are, your beliefs, your values, and your dreams. These all make up who you are. We're going to talk about who you are just a little bit when we talk about, just a little bit, we're going to talk about Freud a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit. So the sum total of who you are, our habits, our beliefs, our values, our dreams, all those make up greatness. And greatness requires constant maintenance. This is what's important. Because once you achieve greatness, you know, within yourself, and you feel that feeling, you feel that privilege of doing something for somebody special, that's addictive, just like any other addictive thing. You want to have that feeling again. You want to feel within your little mind closet or within your daily life that, yeah, I'm good. I like me, you know. You know, you want to be, and that requires constant maintenance. And that constant maintenance is just like we said back here. You just keep doing those little things over and over again to people. Little smiles, little handshakes, little pats on the back, holding doors, you know. Just those little things, you know. Coming into the house, asking your loved one, how you doing? How's your day been? You know, giving them a smile. Maybe put a happy dance on for them so they can have a little laugh or something. You know, just those little things. These are the things that create the greatness within yourself. And those things are all a privilege. You know, because you have to interact with people, and that's a privilege to do something special for somebody else. So these everyday choices also come between good and evil. You can't do bad and then be great. It just isn't going to work. The choices you do when maintaining that feeling of greatness have to be good. No matter how much bad you do, how much good you do, if you do one bad, that's going to wipe out a lot of that good. So you got to maintain a constant vigilant maintenance on being great. And that has to be done by being good. And good, nothing more than being a chivalrous individual and loving somebody. Well, I think I'm going to throw a little music in there for you, about a little change of pace music. Going to throw in The Devil Went Down to Georgia. We're going to throw that right in here in just a second. You ready? Go ahead. I like this song. So's the tape. He ran into Johnny. Play that fiddle. Yeah, that's greatness on Johnny's part, boy. Johnny was all about his own self. Where if he say, "Yeah, devil, I got something for you. I got a little something for you." Yeah. Now this is how we as people, as human beings, develop this type of stuff from Freud's id, ego, and superego. That's all that really was about right there with that there. The id, right? The primitive and instinctive component of personality. And looking at Johnny, his id, his instinctive personality, you know, his libido, his sex, his instinct, his aggressive instinct, and this is a Greek word, I can't pronounce it, trambatos, and that's an opinion about death, were high. This is something he was born with. It makes up the inherent, it's a biological concept. That's what the id is, right? And he was born with these type of things. He had a very, I don't know what his sexual libido was, but his desire to be the best fiddle player in the world was just, it was just that strong. He was aggressive. He had a lot of, his aggression was beyond compare, because this boy said, I could beat the devil. You know, you know, the devil, he's just the devil. He think he's something. And then he went down into Georgia. He figured he could take old Johnny's soul pretty easy, but he didn't know that Johnny's head was strong. Yeah, and the id in people, this is what you come back now to chivalry and stuff. You know, these here are our biological inheritances. These are personality traits that we're born with. Newborn babies only have it. That's all they have. They don't even know their sex, but that's all they got, a biological outward appearance of the body. They're either male or female, you know, just on the phenotype level, not on any other type of level, not on any psychic level. Their instincts are, if it's cold, I need to be warm. If I'm hungry, I need to eat. You know, their libido, all they desire is the basic components of life. Shelter, food, clothes, not even clothes, just one. But their aggressive instincts, that's what develops. Yeah? The id remains infantile in its function throughout a person's life. And what that means is, all throughout your life, if you're born a man, you remain a man. You know, you can change your outward appearance if you want to, because science and technology allows us to have that type of interactions within ourselves to change our outward appearance. They're trying to think whether we were born, I don't know. This would all be in the id. Were you born a woman and you were trapped inside of a male outward appearance? I don't know. That's all would be all that kind of newborn child instinct. When you're born, would you know the difference? No. But, and then you got desires and libido. Your desires, this is something that's psychologically that's really hard to prove too. It's like saying whether you're a good person or a bad person based upon your eros sexual loves and your desires and your instincts. Do you have an instinct to be a good person? A desire to be a good person? Oh, and then there's the one about death. You know, when you're born and with your instincts, and they don't develop into anything else, they just stay the same. Are you more likely to want to hang on to life and than anything else in the world? I don't know. That's all the id type of thing like that. And that's been argued and tossed around by greater minds than mine for hundreds of years. Yeah. The id is, but this is facts. The id is not affected by reality. It's not affected by logic. It's not affected by everyday world. You know, even though you can change your outward appearance, and even though you can develop a great big long list of sexual type of techniques that would be pleasurable to your mate or something like that, it doesn't change. It remains the same. The desires that you have for those type of things are always going to be the same. Your aggressiveness is still going to be the same. Johnny wasn't born a fiddler, but he was born aggressive enough to become the best fiddler that he could be. You know, he may have wanted, you don't know, as he developed in life and was exposed to other things, he may have wanted to be something else. You know, but his aggressiveness wasn't affected by the way the world is. His aggressiveness was how he was born. He was born with an aggressive nature. The logic of the world didn't make his aggressiveness or his desires any different. He was born like that. So the id operates within an unconscious part of the mind. I don't know where that is. I'm not that smart. You know, I think it's probably left of the frontal lobe, but I could be on the right. I don't know, but it's in there someplace. And the id also demands, this is the part that a lot of people forget about. The id also demands immediate satisfaction. And when it happens, we experience pleasure. So immediately when Johnny beat that devil, what do you call him? Well, you all come back here, you soft bitch. He was up there on his high horse and stuff like that. He was feeling immediate satisfaction, and it was pleasurable for him to be talking all kinds of smack at the devil. You know, that was a pleasurable thing because he beat him, and it was immediate. So, like the pleasure of doing something for others is unconscious. We want to bring ourselves to a state of mind hopefully we're all born with it, and it's turned in our id that we have this feeling of doing something for others. That chivalry is an innate id type of component within our lives. We have a need to do other things for people that make us feel good. The satisfaction is inward towards us. The satisfaction is not outward towards the other people. You see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Now, let's go on to the ego. Everybody talk about the ego. They like talking about the ego. The ego is the part of the id which has been modified by the direct influences of the external world. Yeah? That's all it is. Your ego is something that you were born with, but your external world experiences, the things that go on in the world, have modified your id to such a degree, or modified the ego, because you can't modify the id. So, yeah, so that's how that works. You know, kind of complicated to me, but this is a little bit of what it's all about. So the ego is the part of the id which has been modified by the direct influences of the external world. So looking at Johnny, somewhere Johnny saw a fiddle, or he heard the fiddle music and he liked it. And then because of that, his desires within his ego, within his id, started, saying, that make me feel good. That was an instant satisfaction that his id was receiving from the violin music. His aggressiveness said, I can do that. I can do that. So he become the fiddle player that can beat the devil. These are all brought about by influences of the external world. And so the ego developed the mediation between the unrealistic id, because that's subconscious, and the external real world. See? So the ego, your ego, just looking at Johnny again, his ego got to be bigger and stronger so that he could tell and call, I'm going to say it again, folks, he could call the devil son of a bitch. Because his ego was grown to such a degree by beating that devil with the fiddle, which was what? The fiddle was a modification of a direct influence of the external world. And we all do that now anyway. Anybody can do that. You become, as a small child, you might see something that you really like. You might like doing flips. Who knows? So you start doing flips and you really like it. It makes you feel good. You feel this pleasure. You have desire to feel this pleasure again, so you do more flips. And now you flip it all over the place like that. And the next thing you know, you become what's it called, a karatin racer or something, jumping off of buildings and across big boys. I forget the actual word for it. But it's free running style. You become one of them, or you become a gymnast, or you become the world's greatest gymnast because you really like that thing. So that's a modified influence. But that also works with chivalry. You really like making people feel good. And you really like people to be happy around you. So you start to develop those traits that make you feel happy. By making others feel happy, and that's a privilege. So the ego works by reason. The id is chaotic. It's all over the place and totally unreasonable. The id don't care. It wants what it wants. It wants instant satisfaction. It wants pleasure. It doesn't care. It's a chaotic thing. It says, I want it, because it's childish. It doesn't develop from childhood. It's a childish type of thing. But your ego, because it's modified, it can develop. You can develop, and like Johnny, Well, probably is it, like I said, like that violin music, but his ego developed that violin so that he became the greatest violin player in Georgia and probably other places. A lot harder than Georgia, it looks like. But sometimes it be like that. So like the id, so look at the id considers social realities and norms of etiquette and rules in deciding how to behave. This is all the ego, I'm sorry, I might have said it. This is all the ego. Your ego considers social realities. Social reality, what's a social reality? No, it's not acceptable to shoot that person. You can't shoot him. You can't stab him, you can't beat him with a stick. You can't do that. That's a social reality. Yeah? And norms. That's against the norm. If you succumb to going against those social realities, you succumb to going against the norm. And etiquette. What's etiquette? Rules of chivalry. Actually, that's all it is. You know, with a little bit of social realities in it. It's good etiquette not to burp at the table in a Western society. I don't know about other societies. That might be a show up that you really appreciated the food and you let out a belch. I don't know. You know, but that could be so. So that would be the norms, and that would be a social reality, and that would be an etiquette. Right? And the rules, and also the ego is in deciding how to behave. You control the ego, you know, because you're modifying the influences of the external world. If you don't like the social realities, you don't like the norms, and you don't like the etiquette, you can make that choice to go against them. But it's not going to do you any good. You know, you don't get any gratification from it. It's just, if it makes you feel happy to spit on somebody's shoes, well, then that's not ego, that's the id. Because the id, unlike the ego seeks pleasure. The id isn't concerned with desiring or related strategies to the pleasure. The id is only concerned with having the pleasure. You know, I got it. The ego seeks it. So to seek the pleasure, it's best to stay within the social realities, the norms, the etiquettes of the day, and not succumb to your silly little id who just wants it. So he don't care how he gets it, he wants it because he wants that instant satisfaction. Yeah? The ego has no concept though of right or wrong. It still doesn't understand right or wrong because you have that choice. To do something good is good. That's all it is. It's simply good. You know? Or you can do something bad. But the pleasure, it's just, what was the pleasure? Was it good for you, even though the something you did was bad? Or was the pleasure good for you, even though you did something that was good? That's the problem with the ego. You know? It doesn't know the difference between right or wrong. You know the difference between right or wrong, but it doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. So, often the ego is weaker than the id. This is what's happening in a lot of today's world because we don't live a chivalrous type of life too much anymore. So, the ego, even though it knows, you know, it doesn't know, like I said, doesn't know the concept of right or wrong, but it knows what it wants. It knows it has to adhere to social realities, it has to adhere to rules and regulations of the time. Even though it knows that, the id takes over because it just wants something. It's, I want that. You know, it's a child. It's, I want it, give me. You know, and it wants to grab it and hold on to it and it feels good. And it's satisfied with its pleasure. So, it's a trick, yeah? So, now I think we're going to go into a song, before we go into the super ego.